Hi everyone, in this video I'll share with you the guidelines on how you can become an on-chain analyst in 2024. If you're a beginner wanting to get into analyzing on-chain data, this is the video for you. My name is Sam, and if you're new to the channel, I create content on on-chain data, bringing you tutorials, walkthroughs, and tips. Now, what inspired me to create this video is because I've seen a lot of requests from people wanting to learn about on-chain data, but they don't know where to start. So hopefully this video and the series can help you. Alright, let's get into it. So I guess the number one question people ask when they first get started is, which blockchain should I learn? Right, should I learn Ethereum? Should I learn Solana? The answer, personally, for me, it doesn't matter. Right, you can pick one. Let's say you can pick EVM now, and you can always learn Solana later on. Or you can learn Solana now and pick up EVM later on, right? The important thing is to not make the mistake of getting stuck at this stage, right? Just get started. Right? The important part is to just get started with something, and you can learn one, and of course, move on to the other later on down the line, right? Now, my content is mainly EVM focused, which has the benefit of you being able to apply this knowledge on any EVM chain, and also all the SQL knowledge you get from here, you can also be applied onto other types of blockchains as well. Okay, so just want to get that out of the way. Okay, let's get started. So for me, what comes down to being what comes down to, I guess, becoming an on-chain analyst is I call it like four broad pillars, or like four broad categories. And I'll explain one by one, and I'll explain in detail how you can master these four. Now, these are just like four arbitrary categories, but it's how I like to think about the skills you need to have as an analyst. And yeah, so number one in this list, by no order of importance, is blockchain or protocol specific information. Now, what that means is, for example, on Ethereum, if you're analyzing Ethereum data, you need to know Ethereum specific information. Like, for example, contract. What is a contract address? What are smart contracts? Right? What are addresses? What are gas fees? What are validators? Right? Proof of work, proof of stake. Right. So those blockchain specific information. And protocol specific information, on the other hand, are things like, for example, if you want to analyze about a DEX, a decentralized exchange, you need to know what can you do on a DEX in the first place, right? For example, on the DEX, you can provide liquidity, you can swap, right? And then maybe there are other types of DEX where you can do limit orders. And so having this type of information can greatly help you to know what sort of analysis you can do, right? So imagine if you're very experienced, or if you have very experienced with all these protocols, by default you already know what sort of analysis you can do, and that just makes things much easier, right? So my advice here is to just read up, right? So blockchain specific knowledge, read up on Ethereum, the L2s, right? Read up on the L2s, Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, Blast, right? And besides reading up, also just try a bunch of things. Try a swap, right? Try how lending markets work. Try to buy an NFT from a marketplace, right? And by trying out all these protocols, you now know like what can users do on these protocols, and then in turn help you to know what sort of data you should be analyzing or creating analysis on. Right. So again, blockchain specific knowledge or protocol specific knowledge. Read up on them. Try a bunch of protocols. Build this I guess, mental model of how what you can do on different protocols. Okay, this will tie in on the number 2 and 3. So number 2, the second category is SQL knowledge. Now, if you are coming from a background where you already know SQL, amazing. I'm from Flipside, so I use the Flipside platform, and Flipside uses Snowflake. I mean, the flavor of SQL is Snowflake. So if you just search, Snowflake docs, if you're coming from other flavors like Postgres, it should be very easy to learn the syntaxes of Snowflake. For those who are completely new to SQL, my advice is to not be worried, because even though there are a lot of things you can do with SQL, the number of functions you would frequently use using SQL is very limited. Right? Just to name a few aggregations. Right? For example, you're counting things, you're summing things, you're doing a median, right? There's only a handful of things that are very common. There are only a handful of things you need to master in order to do, like, say 90% of the analysis out there, right? So yeah, I would say don't be afraid. Just try to learn SQL. The way I learned it when I first started is I just went in head first and tried to type out the SQL syntaxes, and then if there's an error, I would Google the error, or I would ask on Discord, which highly recommend join Flipside Discord and ask questions, SQL related questions over there. Okay. Another thing I would say is it always helps if you already have transactions to analyze. So for example, I have a transaction here from Basecamp. Basecamp is a block explorer from Etherscan, and what block explorers do is it allows you to see what transactions are being, I guess, transacted on the blockchain. So if you just click into any transaction, it shows you a bunch of information, which I'll get into in the next parts of the series, right? Not in this video, but you can see, this is a transaction, these are event logs, right? And then, yeah, there's more stuff for you to analyze. So it really helps if you already have a bunch of transactions that you did, so that when you take these transactions and put it into your SQL and analyze them, it is way easier for you to relate, like, what are you querying versus what is available in the table, because you know what you did, right? For example, here someone sent 25 USDC to another address. So if this is you and you query this exact transaction, you would know how a USDC transfer looks like in the data. Okay, so that's how trying a bunch of stuff from my point number 1 relates to point number 2, right? Okay, the third category is knowing how blockchain data is represented. Now, this slightly ties back to how you need to know blockchain specific information. That's because different blockchains have different, I guess, data structure. Right, in the case of Ethereum, you have a few what we call like core tables. So if I just go to, like, say base, for example, there is this schema called core, and there are a few core things you need to know, like, blocks, transactions, event logs, traces. Knowing where do this data comes from builds you, like, the mental model of, like, how, or like mental model of where you should pull data based on what you need. Okay, so understanding how the data comes from helps you to identify quickly, like, oh, okay, I need this data, I need to pull it from this table. Okay, but of course we'll get into this in the series as well. Maybe just a quick preview of like how you would be able to query this data. So let's say I am looking at the maybe I won't look at the core table. I'll look at an easy table. Let's say the easy token transfers. And an easy table in on Flipside is basically just a table that is curated. It makes it easy for you to already view certain types of events on the blockchain. So for example, easy token transfers means a table that records all the token transfers that happens on the base blockchain, right? So you don't need to know the syntax right now. I'm just showing you how it would look like. So select from means select from everything, or select every column from this table, and then say I want to query this particular transaction, right? So I'll just copy the transaction here. This thing is called a transaction hash, which is a unique identifier for transactions. So where transaction hash is this. So this is the syntax, right? Again, don't have to worry, but just get familiar with how this looks like. Now you can already run this here, but it will take some time because you're querying a table which has millions of rows. And just to make it more efficient, I'm going to add a timestamp filter. I know this is done on July 20th, 2024. So I'm just going to say specifically just look at this timestamp. What was it again? July 20th. Alright, so specifically telling the query to just look at this date so that it just runs a bit faster. Runs a lot faster, in fact. Okay, so so imagine if this is your transaction, right? You made this transfer, so you would know exactly what is represented in the tables, how it correlates back to what you did, right? So we've got a from address to address, and then maybe you're not sure what contract address is, so you go back to the Block Explorer, and then maybe you hover over USDC. You can see that the address for USDC matches the contract address, and because you send USDC, this then becomes the token, right? In this case, this is the contract address is the token that you've sent, and then amount, and then symbol, right? So all this stuff is already abstracted out of the core tables into an easy table for you to analyze easier, right? So you can see how knowing what sort of data exists in what table helps you to know what sort of, or which table to pull the data from, right? So that's part 3. And the last category, or the last pillar, last but not least, is being able to present your analysis, right? Visualize your findings, presenting your insights on various mediums, Twitter, I don't know, Substack, Medium, right? In a dashboard even, right? So I guess it's a skill to learn to know how to present insights that are valuable to the audience that you're building it for. And so yeah, this is a whole nother category. Lots of resources as well, I would say, on like how to write better, how to communicate better, how to visualize data better, right? Outside of Web3, this information is already out there, so actually you can already start learning all this information without being able to know how to analyze blockchain data yet. Alright, I think that would be it for this video. Again, these are like the 4 big pillars I want you all to start thinking about. Again, for number 1, try a bunch of protocols, try a bunch of blockchains to have that almost like instinct, knowing what sort of data is available. And then number 2, start practicing SQL, start querying your own transactions like what I've did here, and see how that by querying your transaction in a bunch of different tables, you can roughly know how blockchain data is represented. And then last but not least, when you're trying to put everything together, when you're trying to put all your findings together, learn how to present them in a way that is valuable to the audience that you're directing it to. Alright, that's it for this part 1 of the series. A lot more parts to come on each of these different pillars. And that's it. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.